Okay everyone, so in this next lesson I want to talk about the HTML table element. So the first thing that I want to do here is to table MDN. So at least we'll have some queries here linking to the documentation of the table element. So I would want to go click on this first link to the documentation from the developer.mozilla.org. So let's go and do that again, table MDN. And I also want to go to the HTML table basics here and HTML table. And I also want to go at HTML tables documentations of the w3schools.com. As to the advice that I've given you in the previous lessons, it's really good that you go and try to search different documentations and try to compare depending on how you understood the explanation from each of the documentations. And I wanted to go and open up these documentations here because I wanted to show you here the basic use of the HTML table, and at the same time I wanted to introduce to you the idea of the deprecated attributes. So it's really important that we know this, guys. At least we know that once you go and encounter the term deprecated, you would know what that means. So when we say deprecated, meaning we can see here it says that in several fields, deprecation is the discouragement of use of some terminology, feature, design, or practice, typically because it has been superseded or is no longer considered efficient or safe, without completely removing it or prohibiting its use. It can also imply that a feature, design, or practice will be removed or discontinued entirely in the future. Now let's go to HTML basics documentation here and let's try to go and understand what is a table used for. So some keywords that you should remember when working with tables will be the words structured set of data that is usually composed of rows and columns, and they can also be referred to as tabular data, which are usually used for organizing data. And tables are used to quickly and easily look up values that indicate some kind of connection between different types of data. So in this example, we have a person or persons and their age. So we have here the table that showcases the names of a person or the name of a person and the equivalent age of that person. So if you're familiar with Microsoft Excel, similar to using Microsoft Excel, we are organizing our data in a tabular form. So if we go down here, we can see some definition here on how table works, and it says here that we can easily interpret information by having or making visual associations between rows and column headers. And if we go down to our table example here, it is asking us here for us to look for Jovian gas giant with 62 moons. So let's look at the column headers here. So we can see here the number of moons, and we have 62 here, and that is associated with the planet Saturn. So it's a lot easier for us to look for the data because of the organized tabular data that we have inside of our table here. One of our main goal will be, once we are using tabular data in HTML tables, we would want to enhance the experience of sighted and visually impaired users alike. Okay, so I'm hoping that you're getting the idea on how to use tables, and I would suggest that you go through the documentation here so at least you will be able to find out how tables and why we should not be using HTML tables for certain reasons inside of our document. So we can see here the definition that was given us here, or the explanation that tables should be used for tabular data. This is what they are designed for. However, there are a lot of people who uses them for layouting web pages. This is a practice that was done before, from where we use tables so that we can have one row to contain the header, one row to contain the content columns, one row to contain the footer. And if we go to Microsoft Word, let me just show you here that we can actually use the table command here in creating a website. in using Microsoft Word. Let's have a layout here, narrow, then let's go and merge this and let's give it a header. I just want to show you here that this is completely possible but not recommended, you using Microsoft Word in creating a website, but it's completely possible. I actually have this as an exercise for my students in using Microsoft Word in our subject Microsoft Word Introduction to Microsoft Word. I have them make a website using purely a word processor. But again, this is not a recommended practice. I'm just showing you here that this is the layout from where we will be using tables inside of Microsoft Word. To go and create a website and then have it displayed inside of a browser without using any codes. It will be generated automatically by Microsoft Word. So let me just go and add some text here, so at least you'll see that we have the content here. Let's go change the color of the header, the aside, and the content just for easy distinguishment. And then let's save the document. Now let's go to File tab, and then I want to go to my website projects here, create a new folder, Word Tables. Then inside of that, I'm going to save this as a tables.html or as a web page. Okay, so let's go save that. Now let's go to our directory from where we save it. I have here the folder from where I saved it, and you can see that we have generated a tables files folder that contains XML, theme data, and if I go click on this, we now have a website that contains the layout that we created inside of our Microsoft Word. I just wanted to go and share this information. At least you have an idea that we can actually work with tables inside of Microsoft Word, and it will be generating automatically the table element and some of the other elements or child elements that we use inside of a table. So if we go back to our Microsoft Word here and try to remove Control A and then remove all of the borders, Control Save, and then go back to our site here. Now you will see that there's no more borders and we can go and lay out our website using Microsoft Word. This is just nice to know that this is possible, and I just wanted to share it. And here, going back to our HTML table basics documentation, here we have some reminders that using tables for layout is really not that recommended because it reduces accessibility for visually impaired users. It can produce tag soup, which just simply means that it will be harder to write and maintain and debug the layout for our markup structures inside of tables. And it is not automatically responsive, unlike the proper layout containers such as the header element, section element, and so on. Now let's go to our code markup here inside of our document, and then let's go down right after our section about. Let's go and create here section class section tables. And let's have a comment here, section tables. Let's save that and let's format the document. I also want to go and put the table in a div table container, and inside of that will be the table that we will be implementing in our project.